Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Remco Brigou. I'm the head chocolatier from Koko Black, and today I'm going to show you how we make our leatherwood honeycomb. So for the leatherwood honeycomb, what are we using? Well, we're using our leatherwood honey. So this is a very beautiful product. It comes from Tasmania, very unique to Tasmania, very unique flavor. And we at Koko Black, we love using all these kind of products. So we love using all typical Australian ingredients and really celebrate them. So that's what we're really doing with this honeycomb. You really have the unique flavor of the leatherwood, and it's just an amazing product. So afterwards we'll dip it in chocolate. So this is a product that we sell in our stores at Koko Black. We'll now make it ourselves and see how we go, all right? So for those we will use sugar, our leatherwood honey. We've got some glucose here, some bicarb and some water. And then afterwards we'll melt some beautiful couverture chocolate, temper it, and then we'll dip our honeycomb into that. So it's going to be a fun thing to do. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take our equipment and we'll start cooking. So just take the pots. So honeycomb is actually very easy to make. It's basically you put everything in a pot and cook it, and that's about it. So we start with the sugar, just put it all in the pot, and then the honey and the glucose. Now a little trick is sometimes it's a bit hard to get it out of the bowl, so I'll just put it in the microwave for a bit, and then it will be easier to get out of the bowl. All those little tricks is easy to do, especially with the glucose. Glucose is quite sticky, so that will help a bit as well. So it doesn't need much. See how the honey becomes all liquid already. So it doesn't need much. So same with the glucose. And then we'll just put that already in the bowl. Yeah, like I said before earlier, at Koko Black we like using a lot of our Australian ingredients. We're very lucky here in Australia that we have a lot of those beautiful ingredients here, and it makes it much easier as well for me with my skills and with my job to create beautiful products. You just need to look at what you can find on your doorstep, and you can make some beautiful pairings with that. So there you go, everything is in the bowl. Last thing we're going to add is the water as well. There you go, put it all in there. And then we're going to move to the stove, all right? So to the stove here, let's light that one up. And we're going to start cooking. So yeah, like in this case we're using leatherwood honey. But we also like to use a lot of different products as well. This is an Australian product from Tasmania, but we also like to use native ingredients a lot. So we use quite a lot of those as well. We launched a range not so long ago with some celebrated chefs as well, where we really celebrate the native ingredients. For me, it's very interesting to work with those as well, because me being from Belgium, I don't even know those ingredients when I came to Australia. So just gonna make sure it's not too high so we don't burn the edges. So yeah, it's very interesting for me to learn about all these ingredients. They're very unique to Australia, and I think Australia should be very proud that we have those ingredients, because like all other countries, they don't have them, and the flavor is so interesting of all those ingredients as well. It's not something you can compare with anything else. When I came here to Australia and I discovered them, it's a whole world that opens up again. You know, you have like for example the Davidson plum already. You know, it's a beautiful product. And then the interesting part as well, it's very healthy for you as well, I think. You know, if you know that the antioxidants or way higher than the blueberry, for example. And a lot of those ingredients like that have those benefits. They have the benefits of being very healthy for you. So I think this is what I think is very interesting as well. You have a lot of chefs now as well working more and more with those ingredients, and which is very good. It's very good for the Australian ingredient itself, but also for the communities, you know, the indigenous communities. For example, all our ingredients that we use, we get them from suppliers from that really know what they're doing, and they work really close together with the indigenous communities to make sure that we get the right product, but also that the communities themselves are supported. So that's very interesting and very good. You know, you want to make sure when you use a good product that the origin of the product is good as well. And in this case, most of those native ingredients, they're not even really mass produced. They're all wild. Most of them are still collected in the wild, which makes it even more interesting, and you can really taste it as well. You know, it's just an amazing experience. You know, I've been to Northern Territory. I've seen the green ant nests. I've been bitten in the lip by it even while I was eating a green ant, which was pretty funny. But anyway, but it's very, very, very interesting to see all those ingredients in the wild and taste them in the wild. And this is something that we at Koko Black, we want to celebrate as well, of course. We want to celebrate using those unique ingredients in our chocolates, and then educate our customers, you guys, to those products. You know, it's not just the common ingredients that we use. Of course, we use those as well, like strawberry or caramel or stuff like that. But we also like to show you what other potential Australia has. You know? So, meanwhile, in the same time here, our mixtures start to cook, start to boil. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to cook it to 155 degrees. So it goes pretty hot, but it goes quite quickly as well. Just make sure you don't burn yourself because it's very hot. So that you need to be a bit careful with that. Yeah, it's looking good. What is it? 112, so we still got some time. Very good. In the meantime, I'll just put this on the side a bit. What I can do, I'll just prepare some trays here. Get a knife. Get some paper. Easy little trick is when you put some, because we're going to put some baking paper on the trays to make sure that we can actually take the honeycomb off the tray. Easy little trick for the paper as well, so it doesn't go all in the honeycomb. Just put some oil on the trays. Maybe spread it out a bit. And then you can stick the paper to it. Temperature, still get some time. All right, we got these ready. Let's put some stuff away. Try always to clean in a clean kitchen. It's very important as well. What temperature are we? 120. So this is a fun thing you can do at home as well. Doesn't take that much. So yeah, something easy you can do at home. Reminds me a bit of when I was younger, I did a lot of cooking as well. I think that's a bit how I got into this job as well. Already from when I was very little, I was making chocolate cakes with my mom. She passed on the buck to me, and yeah, it's always fun things to do with kids as well. Like maybe with this, be a bit careful with kids. Maybe this is more for the adults, but then afterwards, especially the chopping up of the honeycomb, playing with the chocolate, that's definitely something you can do with the kids. You know, who doesn't love chocolate? What kid doesn't love chocolate? So as soon as they can mess around with it and play with it, I think you're gonna have a happy kid. So at a certain temperature, like it will be around 120, it will start to go up quite quickly. So don't walk away too much either. You don't want to burn it either. This here. Can put the pot on there. Yeah. Now, Koko Black as well. I'll give you a bit of more information about Koko Black. Koko Black, we opened its first doors in 2003 in the Royal Arcade in Melbourne. And now we have around 15 shops all over Australia. So we've got shops in Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Canberra, and Melbourne, of course. Yeah, we like to cater for everyone. We have a big range of chocolates, going from chocolates with the native ingredients, like I said before, to all-time favorites. So yeah, we also have a lounge. We make a delicious hot chocolate, best hot chocolate you'll find. And now I have to stop talking a bit because it's almost there. It's 150 degrees. Few more degrees, and then we'll be ready. And then the fun part is going to start. So again, like I said, be very careful because it is very hot. There you go, done. 155. So what you do now, you take some bicarb. So I made sure it's sifted, so you got no lumps in it. And you just chuck that all in, mix it, and you see how it fluffs up. You can even, there you go, let it come up a little bit before you pour it out. And now just put it, look at that. And this is the dangerous part because this is very easy. This is the very dangerous part where you can burn yourself very easily. What you can do as well is just flatten it out a little bit. Just like that. You can leave it very chunky as well, but I want it a little bit thinner so we can enrobe it, cover it in chocolate. That's going to make it nicer to eat as well. There you go. So this is our honeycomb. What we're going to do now, we're going to leave this to the side to cool down a bit so that we can afterwards cover it in chocolate. There you go. Look at that. How beautiful is that? So for the chocolate, what we're going to do, we have to melt it first. So we've got here our couverture chocolate. Now I'll explain a little bit what couverture actually means. Maybe you heard that word around a while, but couverture, basically what it means, it means it's a quality chocolate. So couverture, according to a lot of regulations in different countries, you need to have a certain percentage of cocoa butter in your chocolate. Cocoa butter is the fat of the cocoa bean. Couverture chocolate has the highest percentage. Like I said, depending on regulations, the percentage is different, but usually with the couverture chocolate, you have 100% cocoa butter. If you go to like a cheaper chocolates, like baking chocolate that you can find in the supermarket or something like that, usually what they do, they replace part of the fat and they replace it with any other vegetable oil or vegetable fat. This will give, when you eat it, the chocolate will be won't give a nice snap, and it will be softer in the mouth. Softer in the mouth, very fatty in the mouth as well. While with couverture chocolate, you don't have that. Couverture is very smooth and a very nice texture when you eat it. So that's why I always go with couverture chocolate. It's a very beautiful product, and I'm gonna say it is a bit healthier for you because it's not that fat, so many other fats in there, but you know, it's chocolate. It's a pleasure, you know. Who doesn't wanna indulge in some nice chocolate? So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna melt it. Now you can melt it in a microwave. The easiest way for me, what I like to do is just in a double boiler. So I'll just take a pot, take some water, and put that on the stove. Now the trick with this is as well, you don't want it to boil, the water. You can bring it to the boil first, but when you melt in the chocolate, make sure that the water is not boiling anymore. Because chocolate is a very delicate product and you don't want to burn it. So chocolate can burn very easy, so even if you do it in the microwave, make sure you don't go above 45 degrees because that you can burn. So ideal when you put it in the microwave, you know, you put 30 seconds in it, mix it a little bit, again 30 seconds until it's melted. And with the double boiler, or bain-marie, the way we call it, usually what you do, you boil your water, you put then the bowl on top like this, you just put it on top, but then you turn off the heat. So you can maybe turn the heat on, you turn it off, or you put it on the lowest heat possible, just so that the water, the steam basically of the water melts the chocolate. And that's the best way of doing it. So I'll just wait while this water boils. I can already put some chocolate in the bowl here. There you go, look at that. Oops, goes everywhere. Maybe a little bit too much. So afterwards, when the chocolate is melted, what we also have to do is we'll have to temper the chocolate. So that's why I have this beautiful marble slab here. I'll show you how we temper chocolate, which is very, very important as well. So it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to experiment as well with it. So keeping in mind of that we're going to do that afterwards. This is going here.
While you're doing that, Remco, do you want to tell us a little bit about what inspired you to work with chocolate and what you enjoy about working with chocolate?
Well, chocolate, first of all, it's a beautiful product. You know, the amount of possibilities you can do with chocolate, it's limitless. Like you can do flavor matching as well. I think I like to compare chocolate a lot with wine as well. It has a lot of different flavors to it, whether you have single origin chocolates or blended chocolates, they all have their characters. So in all these characters you can flavor match with a lot of ingredients. So that it makes it very interesting. For the rest, like I said before, I already make chocolates and desserts with my mom since I was very little. I was always obsessed with chocolate. I've got pictures of me holding little eggs from when I was doing the Easter hunt and giving them little kisses. My sister, she hated it because she was disgusted by it. But anyway, you know, that's sisters and brothers. That's what they do. But yeah, I've always loved chocolate. And then the more I grew, to learn more about chocolate and all the possibilities you can do with it. And it's just such an amazing product. And yeah, like who doesn't love chocolate? Again, you know, it's like the possibilities are limitless. And that's why what I think is very interesting as well with those native ingredients again, is how unique they are, but that makes it much more interesting for me as a chocolatier to then compare those, to match those ingredients with a beautiful chocolate. You know, I'm not gonna just put any ingredient with any chocolate, that would be a shame. But I like to use the right chocolate to match with the right ingredient as well. And chocolate gives that opportunity. If you dig deep and you look for all the different kinds of chocolates, whether it's different percentages or origins, they all have their unique flavors. And yeah, just an amazing thing to work with. Maybe you can see how much I love it just by talking about it already. But yeah, I love it. I wouldn't want to change my job for anything else. As you can see already, the honeycomb is getting hard here, which is good. See if you can already break a piece off. Just to have a look. Yeah, see you have the nice bubbles. It's gonna be beautiful. See, and that's why we flatten it out a little bit, so it's, when we cover it with chocolate, it's not too chunky. You can have it really chunky as well. But like we at Koko Black, we like to do things a little bit different. So we like, for example, our honeycomb that you see here as well, it's thinner. It's a bit more pleasanter to eat. It's a whole different experience. So yeah, fun. So the water is starting to boil here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start putting this on there, just bring the heat down, and then the chocolate will start to melt. Spatula here. As you can see, it will need some time, but that's okay. Just let it melt gently. Maybe I should have done that before I made the honeycomb, but that's okay. We'll have some time.
And you're from Belgium, Remco. How different is chocolate in Belgium versus chocolate here in Australia? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So Belgium, it has a real chocolate culture. You know, if you go to a lot of stores in Belgium, it's very traditional made chocolates. Which is good as well, don't get me wrong. That's how I grew up with it. That's how I learned. When I went to school to learn chocolate, that's the kind of chocolate I made. Here in Australia, especially here at Koko Black, we want to be a bit more contemporary. So we like to be a bit more modern. Of course, we will respect the traditions, but we want to be a bit more contemporary. And again, like I said, the ingredients that you can find here in Australia, it is very important. You know, the ingredients, it's unique. You can't compare it with the ingredients that you find in Belgium. Of course, Belgium has their unique ingredients as well. But here in Australia, the freshness of a lot of ingredients, it's an amazing thing to work with. And yeah, like I said, for me to come here from Belgium, learning all those ingredients, learning the flavors that I can find around here and match those with the chocolate, it's been a real revelation for me. So, good things. As you can see now, the chocolate is starting to melt here. So it won't take too long before everything is melted. Just gonna lower the heat a little bit because, as you can see, that is a bit, can't boil it too much, can't be too hot, because otherwise the chocolate will burn. Now, if you want to do this with milk chocolate or white chocolate, it's exactly the same thing. Just keeping in mind that white chocolate and milk chocolate can burn much easier, so you have to be a bit more careful with that. But again, like, you don't want to go higher than 45 degrees with your chocolate, so be very, very careful. So also, maybe for those who are interested, what is the difference actually between milk white and dark? Well, dark chocolate is made completely from the cocoa bean. You've got basically the cocoa mass, which is the cocoa bean, which is bleached into a paste, and then it's mixed with sugar. So if you have, for example, a chocolate of 70%, what does that mean? It means it's got 70% of the cocoa mass, of the actual cocoa bean, and then 30% is sugar. Now, if you have a milk chocolate, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing that we add to it is milk. So we add milk powder to it. So that's why usually when you have milk chocolate, you have a lower percentage because you also have to have the milk into it. White chocolate is something completely different. White chocolate is basically cocoa butter, which is the fat of the cocoa bean, again, mixed with sugar and milk powder. So you don't really have the cocoa mass in it. So that's why sometimes we say that's not real chocolate. But again, it's also from the cocoa bean. It's still a nice product. It's a beautiful product. It is sweeter. So if you've got a big sweet tooth, that's perfect for you. But yeah, for me, I always loved dark chocolate. Even already when I was a kid, dark chocolate was always my favorite. But I can enjoy a nice milk chocolate as well, and even a white chocolate every now and then. Why not? And that's a bit then the fun part again that I like to do is even white chocolate. I wanna create beautiful flavors with those as well. That maybe even people that usually don't like white chocolate, they will love this product. So that's then part of my challenge as well. You know, whether you flavor match it with something, you add something to the white chocolate to make it a bit more interesting. Same with dark. You know, I've got a lot of people that come to me and say like, "Oh, I'm not a big fan of dark chocolate because it's too bitter," or that say, "Well, I don't go higher than 70% because otherwise it's too bitter." Well, I like to prove those people wrong. You know, it's with chocolate you've got so many different flavor profiles that you can't just say, you can't generate it. You can't just say like all the 70% chocolate is the same, because it's not. You know, I know chocolates that are 80%, but when you eat them, they're much smoother and not as bitter than another 70%. It all depends on the origins. It all depends on the roasting even, how they roast the cocoa beans before they make the chocolate. So all those things, it has an effect on each other. There you go. So the chocolate is nicely melted. Didn't take too long. Still got some lumps in there, so I just keep mixing to get those out of there. I turn the heat off completely now. What I'm going to do, just going to put this away. Just bring the bowl here. So what you do have to be careful of is chocolate and water don't mix. Okay, so make sure that you dry your bowl very well when you work with it. Make sure there are no drops, because even one drop in chocolate can mess it up. So it's very, very important that you don't mix those two together. Because basically what happens when you put water in chocolate, chocolate is fat-based. So when you put water in it, the chocolate can seize up. So that's why it's very important not to get any water in your chocolate. Look at this beautiful product. And the smell is amazing. We should all make sure one day we need to invent smell camera, something like that, or taste camera. I don't know how you do that, but anyway, would be amazing. Just beautiful product. So what we're going to do now is we're going to temper the chocolate, because now it's quite hot. We can't use it like that, because when you use it like that, your chocolate won't set up nicely. It won't set. When you break it, you won't have a snap. You know, if you see the chocolate here, you know, it has a nice shine. It has a nice shine to it. That's because the chocolate is tempered. So by tempering, what does it mean? Basically, we're going to cool down the chocolate while keeping it in motion. So there are multiple ways of doing it. The traditional way is doing it on the marble, which I'll show you right now. Other ways of doing it is by seeding. So you have a melted chocolate and you have these scallops here. Or you take a block that you chop up and you just mix those in the chocolate and keep mixing while it melts. And that's what will cool down the chocolate. That's what we call seeding. I prefer to do it on the marble. I think it looks pretty as well. So let's do it like that. And then after our chocolate is tempered, then we can dip our honeycomb. Yeah, it's cooling down quite well. We can dip our honeycomb into that. I'll just get my thermometer. Working with chocolate, it's very important to use the right temperatures as well. So what I'll do here, get my thermometer clean and ready for the chocolate. So what we need for that is a scraper. So you can find these in just your hardware stores. These are food grade more because they don't rust, but it's a very handy tool to use. What I use as well. Yeah, that's it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get actually another bowl. That makes it a bit more easier to pour as well. I'm going to pour this in there. Look at that. Nice. Now, if you want to lick the bowl, go for it. So what we're going to do, just pour this on the table, but what I'll do, I won't pour everything on the table. So I pour more or less 2/3 on the table, and I still leave some warm chocolate in the bowl. Because this we're going to cool down. Okay, so this, just by moving it around on the marble, it will cool down, and then just scrape everything together again. Like that. And that's how we temper the chocolate. Now, usually what we do of temperatures, we'll cool this down to about 29 to 30 degrees. And then when we pour it back into the bowl, it will slightly heat up again. So it will heat up to maybe like 31, 32, something like that. And that would be perfect temperature to work with. There you go, it's already there, 29. So this goes back into the bowl now. And you see, this is what I meant earlier. This is a fun thing to do with kids, you know. Be prepared that your kitchen will be a complete mess afterwards, but you know, part of the fun, you know. Afterwards, clean it all up. Try not to lick your fingers. How dare you? No, all good. You can just lick your fingers and enjoy. There you go. So now all the chocolate is in. Mix it again with the hot chocolate that was still in the bowl. Make sure you don't get any lumps. And you know, if it's still too hot, it's not a problem. Just pour some out back on the marble. Continue to mix it, to scrape it down and cool it down until you get the right temperature. It is always very important that you mix, that you keep mixing, keep your chocolate moving. And when you mix, you know, always scrape your sides, because chocolate always cools down from the side to the center. So that way you make sure it stays nice and even.
What's the ideal temperature, Remco, for dipping honeycomb?
So ideal temperature will be around 31 degrees, 31 to 32 degrees. But the thing with chocolate as well is, like I said, it's a very delicate product. It all depends on the room where you're in as well. Sometimes room temperature, or even outside temperature, is a big influencer on the chocolate. So you have to play with it a bit. So like I said, ideally it's around 31 degrees, 31. Sometimes it can be 32, sometimes even 30. You need to play with it. And the easiest way to do so is use a thermometer first to check actually what the temperature is. But then to make sure whether it's well tempered. I think it's a little bit too warm still, yeah. It's a bit too warm, so what I'll do, I'll just pour some out back on the marble. And I'll show you a little trick afterwards how you can check, how you can test if your chocolate is well tempered. And also all these scrapings, don't throw them away. Just put them in a bowl, either to snack on, or you just afterwards, you just melt it down again, and you can just reuse it afterwards. There we go, it's a bit too warm, so I'll just pour some out a little bit. And I'll just continue the process. Not too much, because we were very close. And again, this is for dark chocolate, so if you work with milk chocolate or white chocolate even, the temperature will be slightly different. So it will be, you work a little bit colder with those chocolates. So usually with milk chocolate you work around 29 degrees, 28, 29, and with white chocolate even 27 to 28. So you work a little bit colder. You know, this is a good workout as well. You know, keep mixing. Temperature 31 on the dot. Perfect. So what we're going to do, I'll show you now a little trick that you can do to check whether your chocolate is nicely tempered. So you can take, for example, a spoon and you just put some on the back of the spoon, not too much, and you just put it down. And you will see that the chocolate will start to set up quite quickly. Like already now, you see that the edge of the spoon, it's maybe hard to see, it's starting to seize up. But afterwards, when you see a nice shine on your chocolate there, when it's already setting, that means it's well tempered. And you know, you still have your pan with hot water here. So worst case, what you can do when it's starting to cool down a little bit, or you put it a couple of seconds in the microwave, or you just warm it up a bit again above the hot water. Just put this out the side a bit, and I'll clean this up. In the meantime, we're waiting for sample 3 sets up. Looking good. What I'll do as well in the meantime, we can chop up some honeycomb. This way. Again, try to work clean. Okay. Got a chopping board here. Oh, honeycomb is perfect. So what we can do, chop some up. Doesn't need much. Okay, you can even just break it like that in pieces. There you go, look at that. Look at that, pretty. Of course, taste it. Delicious. And that's the thing about the leatherwood. It's got such a distinct flavor. It's just beautiful. It's like, it's not, of course, honeycomb it's sweet, it's sugar, it's honey, but that flavor of the honeycomb, of the leatherwood, it just makes it such an interesting product. And that's something that I find with a lot of, even with native ingredients, what I find very interesting about it is all the different flavor profiles you can find in them. A lot of them it can be quite tart, can be quite sour. Sometimes not always products that you would expect to find in a sweet product, in a confectionery product. But that way it makes it even more interesting to pair it with chocolate, you know, like just to break down the sweetness, to break down all the different emotions that you can receive by tasting it. It's amazing. There you go. Yeah, chocolate is nicely set now. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take another piece of paper. You get a bowl to put all these in. Just clean this up a little bit. There you go. You can use this for later. Melt it down again. Put it away. I've got another paper here. What we'll do, put that down. We can start dipping some honeycomb. All right, easiest way to dip, use a fork. Just get a nice fork. What I like to do sometimes, because it's quite cold, maybe like just put it in some hot water, just so that the cold is off the fork. Make sure it's dry, of course. You don't want it to be wet. Like I said, no chocolate and water doesn't go together. And then you can just take a nice piece. Here, dunk that in the chocolate. Make sure you don't lose it. And like a little trick that you have when you have it on your fork, just tip it up and down on the chocolate like that. That way all the chocolate that is still in the bowl will pull off the excess chocolate that is over it. Because you don't want it to be too thick either. And then you just put it down. You know, if you want, you can make with your fork, you can make like little decorations on it, or you can just leave it plain. Up to you. So this is the fun part. And then you know what you can do, if you're getting really good at tempering chocolate, you can temper multiple chocolates at the same time, and even decorate your chocolate with it, with like maybe some white chocolate or some milk chocolate, and make it your own. You know? Make some crazy creations. Look at that. So again, these won't take too long to set, especially when your honeycomb is still a bit hot, then it can take a while. So that's why it's very important that you have to make sure that your honeycomb is completely cooled down and that your chocolate is tempered. And that way it will set beautifully. Also, afterwards, please don't put them in the fridge. It's very bad for you to put chocolate in the fridge. Basically, fridge is full of humidity. And like I said again, chocolate and water doesn't go together, and the fridge is the same thing. Also, chocolate works like a sponge. So if you put it in your fridge and you have fish in there or cheese, well, those chocolate will absorb those flavors, and then your chocolate will taste like fish or cheese. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe it's a revelation. Maybe it's going to be delicious, but I'm doubtful. So, you know, maybe if this is something you want to try at home, go for it, but I don't recommend it. All right, see how this is. I can maybe dip a couple more. But that's how we make a beautiful honeycomb. And you can see, if you come close, you can see that on the edge it is starting to get a little bit of dullness, and that means the chocolate is starting to set. So looks good. It's going to be amazing to try that chocolate. And again, this you can also, what you can do potentially as well is just crush it all up, crush up all the honeycomb, mix it with some chocolate and spread it out on a slab, and then break that slab in pieces so you have a nice slab, and then you just serve that with your tea or coffee for dessert. When you have some people over, it's going to be amazing. Show off your skills. All right, so that's it. We're going to see how this chocolate sets up. And then we can do some tastings with it. So yeah, like that's how we make our honeycomb. I invite you all to come down to Koko Black stores, try all these creations, explore all the flavors that we have to offer, explore the native Australian flavors, explore all the more classical flavors that we have. Like we have a beautiful vanilla marshmallow. We have salted caramel, which is very, very nice. We have some caramelized coconut duddies, which is amazing. Everybody raves about them all the time. Come and explore them. Come to our stores and explore them and enjoy. You know, you have the skills now to make these chocolates at home. Try it yourself, and yeah, just go crazy.